Hey everyone! Today we are going to jump right into our Game of Thrones review episode of Blood of My Blood. Let's first start off with Bran Stark, because we left off with them last episode when Hodor died. Rest in peace, Hodor. They picked up right off where they left off last week. And they're walking through the woods trying to run away from these White Walkers and the skeleton people. I don't know what they're called. We'll just call them the skeleton people. But what I thought was interesting is you watched Bran in this. He had this like flashback moment where he's just learning everything he needs to do, or the whole history of the world, I guess, to be the three-eyed raven. What I thought was most interesting about this is that you saw the Mad King, and you heard his voice. And what I thought was interesting about this is that I didn't think that he was that important of a puzzle piece. I thought he was more like, just kind of like a backstory that you never really needed to learn about. But I think it's interesting that they have to show him. Maybe he has this vision that Bran is having, that like this Mad King has more of a role to play, which could be interesting in this episodes to come. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's something to look forward to. Benjin comes back. I was so stoked when I saw that it was him. I mean, when the very first scene of the episode, you see this guy come in on that horse, pull that little fireball thing, and just like destroy these White Walkers and these skeleton people with a horse and a little fireball, which I feel like is a very interesting batch of weapons. I don't know why he just doesn't pull out a sword, but then again, you got to burn these things to kill them. I just thought it was pretty dang cool. But yeah, I was really happy when Benjin Stark came back, because he was a really cool character, and you never really got to see him really do anything cool. You just kind of loved him because he was a nice guy, and there wasn't very many of those at the beginning of Game of Thrones, or at all during Game of Thrones. But like now that he's back and he's like part like White Walker human because the children saved him, I don't really know, but that's cool. I'm kind of stoked to see what kind of magic he can pull out of his back pocket. Back pocket. Where did that come from? The other thing that I think is interesting about like just this series, this season, season 6, because this is a season of like rebirth for Game of Thrones, because we have Jon Snow that died, he came back. Then we have Daenerys Targaryen, so she comes out of the fire, and then now we bring back Benjen, who we all thought was dead. They're just bringing people back this season instead of killing them off, which is kind of cool. They're bringing back people you like, and hopefully you're going to start killing the people we don't like. Ramsay Bolton. Now, I want to talk about Arya Stark. Who is she? What does she do? Again, she has furthered her plot of doing nothing. She's like learning. She's been training with that one dude for the no-face god to be this assassin killer. Now she has her second chance to show her worthiness and to get more training and be an awesome person. And then she defies him and just doesn't kill that lady, and then goes off and gets her sword and is probably going to get killed by that little other girl. Hopefully that made any sense. Now she's furthered her purposes. What the heck is she supposed to do? Is she going to run home now? Like, she already did that once and that failed. I like her. I just want her to do something important for once, rather than just do nothing important and just waste my time while I'm watching it on TV when I want to see more of Jon and Khaleesi. So here's the next thing. So we're at, so now in the middle part where you actually thought there was going to be an awesome fight scene where Jaime Lannister comes in and the Tyrells come in with their army to overthrow the High Sparrow, which we all hate the High Sparrow. If you like him, I don't like you. And they're all sitting there ready to have war. Jaime Lannister comes riding up on the steps with his horse, trying to act all cool and tough. And then the High Sparrow comes out and says there's not going to be a Walk of Atonement. And then Tommen comes out and says he's made peace with the Faith, and that the Crown and the Faith are going to work together. This High Sparrow is the most conniving little dirtbag, douchebag. Like, he is now, like, the Lannisters are always one step, specifically Cersei, is always one step ahead of all her enemies. But with this High Sparrow, she is like 2 to 3 steps behind him every single time. She thinks she has him, she's going to destroy him, and then he comes out on top, manipulating her son, and getting the queen on his side. Like, you didn't think you could hate someone more than Cersei and Jaime and basically all the Lannisters. Like, you want them to always lose and not win. But now, at least for me, I'm rooting for Cersei to win. I'm rooting for Jaime Lannister to win and for the High Sparrow to get killed. That is the most amazing thing, like the shift that you can have for these characters that you've hated for so long. But now that they're losing, you want them to win again. It is a love-hate relationship. Again, Dany, like, she is in 10 minutes of this entire episode. I mean, that's kind of how she was like 2 episodes ago when she walked out of the fire. She was barely in it, I think. But for that 10 minutes, she is a baller, like the coolest person in the world. Like, again, she makes you love her even more. Like, it is so cool. Sitting there riding through that valley and going to her kingdom, where her dragons are, everything, to get the ships to sail across. Anyway, so she's sitting there. They stop. She sees something going on in the distance, which we know. Obviously, it's not going to be some bad people. It's going to be her friggin' dragon. Goes up there all by herself. Everyone's wondering. And then she just comes out, riding in on this dragon, lands, and just gives this speech of a lifetime. It's so cool. Oh my gosh. Love it. Just love it. I think that's what happened this week. If there's anything I really missed that you were mad about, you can yell at me in my comments, and maybe I'll try to do better to include everything that everyone wants to hear about the wonderful world of Game of Thrones. But for real, you guys have a good week. We'll see you next week with another wonderful review of this wonderful show, and have a good one.